I was debating about this with somebody on a different website about the lack of proximity chat that Bungie is doing in Marathon in this point. And I was telling him, like, dude, if you're gonna be like that, because Bungie is worried about toxicity, like combating toxicity, and I'm going like, hey, if you're gonna be that concerned about avenues of toxicity in your multiplayer, your PvP multiplayer game, why are you bothering to make a PvP game at all? It's like, dude, you just gotta kind of like suck it up and get over it. Like, yeah, there's gonna be some assholes online, but like, we're all adult. Like, a lot of us are adults here. Like, if you don't like the way somebody is behaving online, just fucking mute them or block them or report them. Like, there's ways to do it. You know, like the first thing that I did when I went in, like I always tell this story. It's pretty funny. And like, the first time I went to a public GTA Online lobby, it was like the most like foul, like right away somebody was like throwing out like barrage of racial slurs, and I was just like, mute. It was simple as that. Like, I didn't want to hear it. It was annoying as shit, and I was just like, mute, and that's it. But apparently Bungie is like so deeply concerned about toxicity in their multiplayer game that they're gonna just throw the baby out with the bathwater and just they're gonna remove chat proximity entirely, just because they don't have a good way to combat toxicity. It's called a mute button, dude. Listen, okay, armchair developer here. It's called a toggle button. I know, I'm gonna tell you guys a really revolutionary concept. It's called, you go to the options menu, you go to an area that says proximity chat, and you have a toggle for it, and it says there's three options. There's off, there's group only chat, team only chat, and public. There you go. I just solved Bungie's problem in like 5 seconds. And yet Bungie, a multi-decade existing studio / publisher, can't figure this out. There's a block button for voice text chat for most games. See Menos right there. You should go work at Bungie. Like, I'm serious. Like you should go work at Bungie. You have the right mindset for a multiplayer game. Clearly Bungie does not. The studio that made Halo and Destiny thinks you are too dumb to just go to an options menu and click turn off proximity chat. But they're like going, oh, look, because of these toxic gamers, they're ruining it for all of you, so we're gonna remove. It's like looking at a glass window and going, oh, there's a little scratch in this window, and then you just take a sledgehammer and shatter the whole window. You go, there you go, problem solved. You know, there's a tiny crack in the window, but I figured it out, guys. I destroyed the whole window. Isn't that great? It's like, no, it's not great. It makes you look like an idiot. They want younger gamers. But one of the things that younger gamers like is to be able to like talk to their friends and do proximity chat and what have you, and have like fun, weird experiences that a lot of their their favorite content creators have. So you're telling me that you can't come up with a good solution for your dumbass toxicity excuse, and instead you're just gonna remove a basic feature of extraction shooters? That's like some dookie shit. That's so stupid to me. In my experience, the most toxic people are the randos you get paired with. No, exactly. So this is the thing, is that Nintendo, I'm sorry, not Nintendo, I'm getting mixed up now. The thing is, Bungie thinks that they can combat toxicity by removing proximity chat, and yet they're going to keep things like random matchmaking, public servers, text. I assume they're going to have an in-game text chat. I assume they're going to allow you to crouch in the game. So that's avenue for teabagging right there. I mean, dude, you take away somebody's avenue to be an asshole, they're going to find like three more ways to fuck with somebody. It's the way of the internet. And I was arguing with somebody because it was like the most naive shit I've heard from somebody. They were like, why can't we just bring console gaming down to the basic decency levels of society? I'm like, dude, because that's not reality. That's not the real world. I responded to this quote from Joe Ziegler, who said, and this is a really dumb thing to say, he said, when it comes to proximity chat, I don't think we're against the experience of it, to be fair. I think the challenge is how to make sure we're creating a safe environment for players inside of that space. I don't think, this is the one I had the really big problem with, I don't think anyone really has a good solution to that just yet. And I'm pausing to kind of let that sink in, that Bungie, a company that has made games for 30 plus years, is telling you, a grown thinking adult, that they don't think anyone really has a good solution for toxicity in voice chat. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? I'm hearing this from an adult gamer, an adult developer? The guy who directed Valorant is telling me this? So I quoted the I don't think anyone has found a good solution yet part, and I said, it's called an on-off toggle, my dude. Create a proximity chat setting with 3 options: public, squad only, and off. Saying the lack of one is because of, quote, toxicity, unquote, is a bullshit excuse. And then this person wasn't tagging me, but they said something along the lines of, like, I know they were referring to what I was talking about. They said they didn't want to tag me in it. They said, as for a toggle to enable or disable this, how would you implement it? Do other players know if you've turned this off? Will they then find other ways to harass you for that choice? Does the way disabling this feature affect communication, give your team a disadvantage, and thus create more toxicity for players choosing to disable proximity chat? And then I responded with, if someone is that worried about avenues of toxicity because of a proximity chat option, then maybe they shouldn't be playing extraction shooters at all. Maybe Bungie should stop trying to cater to them at the expense of a more niche audience. As for the unknown factors of proximity chat, isn't the mystery of that part of the fun of going into a hostile environment and not knowing who's out there and who might be listening? I don't play multiplayer games regularly, and even I can appreciate the thrill of that. And then this person said, like, they tagged me in it this time, and they said, I don't think you understood my comment. The points I made were about implementation of a feature and how that implementation would affect the game's community, which is a developer-focused view of a proximity chat toggle feature. Choosing not to play extraction shooters is not really an option for Bungie when deciding how this feature should work. And he misunderstood what I was saying. I was saying that if Bungie is gonna put themselves in the mindset of a gamer who thinks like that, who stresses about all the different avenues of toxicity, and try to cater this game around their needs, then I think that is just way too much of a hassle, and I think that's a frankly stupid thing to think about when making a PvP extraction shooter that requires communication, especially if you're in paired with randos. Especially in something that's high risk, high reward, lose all your shit like an extraction shooter. And if somebody is going to fret about the ramifications of just a proximity chat, and the social implications of turning it on or off, then they should not be playing PvP extraction shooters. Simple as that. Like, either get over it or just don't play the game in general. And then I responded to this person with, I understood your comment, and I think Bungie is being incredibly foolish if that's the mindset they're approaching Marathon with. Is the risk of, quote, toxic, unquote, behavior in certain situations worth removing a standard feature of extraction shooters entirely? I don't think so. Trying to figure out the ins and outs of the gameplay and social implications of a proximity voice chat toggle seems a complete waste of time and antithetical to the genre's appeal. People will always find new ways of being dickheads, so removing proximity chat entirely at the expense of the game's tense atmosphere seems counterintuitive. As an example, Battlefield 2042 tried this initially with the removal of scorecards because it didn't want players to feel bad if they were doing terribly in a match, and it got lambasted by its player base because it removed vital information to appease a subset of sensitive players. And then this person responded with this 2-paragraph thing. I'm gonna skip like most of this because it's just kind of like it's whatever. But the second paragraph, this is where I think this person like is completely like being naive, where they said, "I'm genuinely fascinated by how many people seem to think that Bungie and other developers just shouldn't think or do anything about how people behave in their game's community, especially as you all seem to acknowledge that well-adjusted people in face-to-face interactions or phone calls, etc., don't behave anything like the way online gamers do. Why are we so opposed to dragging online gamers up to the same basic standards of decency and civility that Western civilization agreed upon decades ago?" I didn't respond with this, but my first thought with this was like, because there is a sense of anonymity that comes with gaming that is not there in a face-to-face interaction or on the phone. That was like my first thought that popped in, that this person's crying about, why can't we drag gamers up to the same basic standards of decency and civility? Because it's not reality. It's not reality. What are you gonna do, like drag 100 people up to the standards of decency? Like, okay, congratulations. There's still like millions of people out there who are probably gigantic douchebags online. It's a losing battle. And again, there's an option for this. There's an option to turn it off. Someone is like blasting music in their mic or yelling out racial slurs while you're playing Marathon. Turn the fucking toggle off. Turn it off. It's that simple. Why are we doing these like mental gymnastics to try to like justify Bungie doing this? It's so stupid to me. And so finally I responded with, because he said in the beginning of the paragraph that I skipped that he said proximity chat is a feature that works better in theory than in practice. I said I strongly disagree that proximity chat is a feature that works better in theory than in practice. It does wonders for specific games, and removing it entirely from Marathon seems like a bad call if they're going for an extraction shooter when a large part of it is PvP interaction. I agree that developers should consider how the gameplay and social features of a game will shape its community, but removing a basic feature of extraction shooters in an attempt to combat toxicity seems like an inconsiderate solution. Why is Bungie bothering to make a PvP game in a more hardcore genre at all if they're going to be this afraid of players being dickheads? They should remove the in-match chat box and the ability to crouch so people won't teabag at that point. And this person never responded to what I said, so... But my point is, I just think it is an incredibly foolhardy waste of time to try to think about like, oh, the poor players who are trying to get into our game but due to toxicity they won't. It's like, just put in options that would mitigate the toxicity. This is not a thing that Bungie has not done that Bungie has not done in the past. In fact, Bungie is very, very active when it comes to combating toxicity in their community, to the point where they will sue. So I don't want to hear it from Bungie, of all developers, that they go, oh, well, I don't think there's a good solution yet. I don't want to hear it from Joe Ziegler, the director of Valorant, that we haven't found a good solution for proximity chat. I don't even care. Like, I really don't have much interest in buying Marathon at launch. But even I can appreciate the experience of going into an extraction shooter and having that option for proximity chat, because that creates dynamic gameplay. Proximity chat creates avenues for a more fun experience, a more unique game experience. Why are you removing that just to appease the more sensitive people out there? It makes no sense to me. Although when someone teases me, I tend to take it a bit seriously. No, I get, like, if somebody is being a bully to you in real life, that I understand. But if it's just some guy, like, on some, like, random shit muncher online that has, like, YOLO 42069 as their gamer tag, and they're talking about how much they want to bang your mom, it's like, I don't know, dude. Maybe don't take it so seriously. Like, it's really not, like, do you know how many times, like, in multiplayer games in the past, one of my friends told me to go fuck myself in, like, the heat of the moment, or like we would like throw like the meanest fucking insults at each other. It's like, dude, like, come on, like, grow a fucking spine with this shit.